What up, New York Giant Nation and football fans all over the world? It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan. Got my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas here with me. And y'all ready for this? The divisional round week of the real deal NFC East. Round up. Punch that intro, baby.
Cash flow.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Well, depending where you at, it could be any of those things. But what is going on right now, Adam? How are you feeling today, man? It is the divisional round weekend, man, and the New York Giants are still in it to win it, baby. How you feeling, man?
How am I feeling? You're in the dance. You might as well go to the damn show. You might as well go to the damn show. And the way they came out this week, you should be happy. Giant fans, be happy, be positive. Whatever the outcome is, you went down on your sword, and here we are still standing. Minnesota's off on the golf course. Hope the back nine's working well for Kirk Cousins, because we still got a game to prepare for.
Yes, indeed. What is going on, my guy, Philly B? Representing. This is my guy behind some of the magic on Mac the Giants Fans channel, man. And how you doing today, Harrison Barnhart? You're somebody new. I ain't never seen your name before up in here. Appreciate you stopping in. And it is definitely fun to be a Giants fan again. And if you don't mind, me and Adam Costas, we do this every week during the season, and we're going to keep doing it throughout this playoffs. So right now, if you don't mind stopping and giving us a sub, a thumbs up, a like, you know what I mean? We really would greatly appreciate that. Myself and Adam Costas, man. Really would appreciate that. But yeah, this is awesome, man. This is now, like I said, not only the New York Giants back in the playoffs, man, but they back and they, as of right now, off to a great start in the postseason, man.
Woo.
Back out there, just killing it. Went out there in Minnesota, man, and they turned the offense on. They turned the firepower all the way up. We look like an NFL offense, a competent NFL offense for the first time in years. I mean, we had our quarterback absolutely cooking, man.
We're getting what we asked for, Mac. Mac, we said at the beginning of this year when they hired Brian Dable, we said we don't want to see the putrid offense. We don't want to see the stagnantness, and we didn't. But guess what happened? We got an offense that you can stand behind, that is a real threat to score and go downfield, no dinking and dunking. That's it. From now on, this is the offense we want to see. If you need to go conservative, do it when it's rainy. Do it when it's windy. But when you have ideal conditions, I don't want to see any more dink and dunks. You know what I mean? I want to see this offense the way it was. And I have to give credit where credit is due. The man behind the resurgence is the man that I've been beating down the most. Okay? The man that I've been fighting with the most is the man behind the resurgence. Go, DJ, because he's my DJ. Go, DJ, because he's my DJ. Daniel Jones has played a phenomenal football game. Actually, if you want to compare, because they like to compare everything, he had a better game than Eli Manning did his first playoff appearance.
Yeah, absolutely did. Absolutely did.
Just wanted to
All
throw
my
that out.
homies in the chat. What's going on? All my homies in the chat, man. Reese Bass coming through. That's my homie Lou Briscoe. That Dallas Cowboys fan right there. We got a Niners fan and we got a Dallas Cowboys fan pulling up in the chat right there. You know what I mean? We're gonna be talking about all of that in a little while. You know what I mean? We ain't quite ready for that yet, but we're gonna be getting to all of them in a little bit too, man. That's another great game coming up this weekend in the divisional round of the NFC playoffs, man. But yeah, it's just been like I said, this is well beyond what I could have imagined, man. Envision going into this season. I would have personally, as a New York Giants fan coming into the 2022 season, would have been happy with just having a winning season, just being 500 or better. You know, wasn't even really
Seven.
thinking
I would have taken
about
7 wins from
yeah.
4 and 13. I would have taken
Wasn't
7
even
wins.
thinking about the postseason, to be honest. I was just satisfied getting back to at least 500 football, at least, you know, and to be able to not only go over 500, make it into the playoffs, and then represent yourself well in the playoffs. Because actually, at the end of the day, no matter what happens this Saturday, the New York Giants have far, far surpassed what anybody thought they was going to do this year, man. So, look, I'm ready for Saturday night. Look, I got a lot going on Saturday. I got a full day. My cousin's getting married early in the day. I'm going to have to eat at the reception and jet out real quick to get back home, get on that highway, get back home to get home in time for this football game. And your boy, Mac the Giants fan, is definitely going to do all of that. All right, let him know. Look, man, I don't hate to eat and run, but that's how it's going to have to go down on Saturday night because I'm not going to miss a second of this football game Saturday night.
Mac, if I were
But
you, I go straight hood style, and I put a little line my bag or pocket with some Glade and some Ziploc bags because you're taking that stuff to go, but that's going to be some wedding food. You may want to keep that while you're eating and watching the game. So if I were you, bring a doggy bag, bring a to-go cup, do something because I don't want to eat and run, but I'm gonna dump this in here and go have some fun because Saturday night is going to be fun. The reason what gets me excited, first off, we talked about the quarterback, had a phenomenal game. This game on Saturday will really cement Daniel Jones and which way he's headed, right? We'll get into that in a minute. A guy I want to touch on who finally is getting the recognition that he deserves and is probably making the receiving core not as big of a priority is Isaiah Hodgins, okay? That guy has been a godsend. He's playing his heart out. Let's look at these numbers. 8 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. The boy has been balling out. He is the number 1 receiver on the team. I think he's taken over Slayton's role in the offense, in the hierarchy, just because of what he does. Slayton, good number 2, but you know what's funny about Slayton is he is who he is. People are mad about him. He is. He has a drop here and there, usually a crucial drop here and there, highest drop rate in the NFL. But Isaiah Hodgins to me is like a rising star. And I know people want to talk about getting a receiver in the draft and doing all this. Maybe, just maybe, and hear me out. We bring back Richie James. I know it's not the greatest idea, but hey, he's already in the offense. There's nothing need to do, right? You bring back Isaiah Hodgins or extend him. You maybe bring in James Washington because he's here with you now. And then maybe you could draft a 2nd or 3rd round pick and you have Wan'Dale Robinson and Colin Johnson coming back. Maybe you can get something here and cultivate your own kind of receiving core going forward. Because I think we have other needs that we're going to need, right? A second corner because we don't know about Robinson, a middle linebacker, or maybe if we got a guy like Hodgins who's come out of nowhere, maybe we don't necessarily need to dip our toe too deep in the receiver well. I'm not saying I don't want to draft one, and if one falls to us, that's great. But the bust rates go up with the receivers.
Well, I definitely agree with you to some extent right there because Hodgins is making it so the Giants don't necessarily have to feel so overly desperate.
Right.
To go out there and spend the 1st round draft pick necessarily on a receiver, so to speak. And like you said, the other guys, they kind of seem to fit into certain types of roles. And that what the rise of Isaiah Hodgins is doing, like you said, it's allowing a guy like Slayton to kind of go back to the role that he was really on this team to be anyway, which is just, he's, part of some packages. You get some, get some looks here and there. but not to necessarily have to be that top guy. Hodgins' story is starting to look a little bit similar to the Victor Cruz thing. Slightly different path, obviously, but it's starting to kind of getting those kind of vibes about this kid. He's making big time plays out there, man. His game, just like Daniel Jones' game, has been elevating week by week these last few weeks. This kid also is rising with him. He is legitimately becoming Daniel Jones' number one threat out there. Look for to see a lot more of that Saturday night. Again, I would expect it's just something really been fun to watch as a Giants fan.
He's a possession receiver, big physical possession kind of guy. I guess what a guy that we thought Galladay would probably have become, right? But he's not. So what I would do with Hodgins is like he is growing. The only thing is from him and Daniel Jones, he was drafted in the 6th rounds for Buffalo. And coming out, the only knock on him really was his speed. Everything else was like, he's got to get great catch radius. He'll catch everything in front of him. He's a tough guy, but will he be able to separate in the NFL? Will he be able to break off press man? And he's showing you he's got a repertoire of things he can do. Is he the fastest guy? No. The comp that I give to him, I don't know if Giant fans are going to like this comp, but he reminds me of Joe Juravicious. Remember that guy for the Giants back in the day, 6'5" receiver, kind of lanky.
Absolutely.
He's a better version of him to me. He's like a guy that Joe Juravicious, when he was good, he had a couple good seasons with the Giants. He was a solid player, big physical receiver. That's who he kind of reminds me of. Just a guy who's going to get there. I think he'll still get you 1,000 yards. I think he has a better catch radius and a better skill set than Juravicious ever had. But that's who he kind of reminds me of in the mold, because when I look at him, that was Juravicious, long, lanky, showing up when you need to show up, making big plays, running guys over. And, if you guys know the 2000 Giants he was a big part of that.
Absolutely agree. And just want to get on some of these comments real quick. Let's go back up here to Harrison, man. It is absolutely amazing what good coaching, what great coaching can do for a team, because this is essentially almost a very similar roster to what Joe Judge had last year, and we saw the results of that with that coaching staff in place. And these guys have just got these guys playing completely out of their minds. So
maybe let's take it to another level here real quick. Remember I said that he changed some Keurigs in the locker room? Well, maybe he wasn't changing the Keurigs. Maybe the problem with the Giants, because if you watch a lot of the videos, they weren't a bad team per se. Their lack of tackling was a little alarming on the defensive side, but they were disciplined enough, right? Last year the wheels fell off the bus. I'm talking about the first year. You kind of thought. I think what happens is in the locker room, Dable changed it from top to bottom. He was like, "Yo, we're gonna change the way we feel in this room, because if you feel it, it was a doom and gloom, right?" Daboll has made the whole organization kind of pop, and that kind of springs in your step when you go. Unlike Joe Judge, where it felt like, from what I'm hearing, people had to walk on eggshells around that guy because they didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, think about it. You're beating up your freaking old lineman coach in a conference room. What do you think players are doing? This guy may not beat me up or some shit. So I think I don't want to use the word culture, but we're changing the atmosphere and just changing the vibe in the room. That's where I think it started. And then it trickles down, right? Dable, you can see, I hate to say this, I love Dable already. I'm falling in love with the coach. I think he's done a phenomenal job with a shit roster, getting these guys to believe, really masking a lot of the deficiencies in their game. Remember Joe Judge's famous line on, it's not what they can't do, it's what they can do. Well, Judge, you never got them to do anything, right? So, at least Brian Dable is finding out what guys are going to be on this team. I mean, look, he's even got Kenny Galladay still locked in.
Absolutely. But Kenny Galladay, as a player, has never been really part of a winner either. So he's from that aspect, that dude's hungry for at least that part. I mean, he's not playing that role that he expected to play on this team right now and being part of this run. But I think he's humbling himself enough to go out there, like you said, some blocks he was throwing out there and helping out in the run game on Sunday, let you know that he is still invested and he wants to help this team with any way he possibly can, even if it's not on the offensive side of the football as an actual being the number one receiver that he's supposed to be. But Also, this he said my guy Lou here says O line needs help, and and it does. I mean, it's not necessarily be
And they're
a
playing pretty well.
major priority, but the interior line definitely has a couple little chinks in it. Need to tighten some things up. I believe we got an All Pro left tackle with Andrew Thomas. Evan Neal, he's a rookie. Give
Oh
him
my
another
God.
year and see where his development goes out there at right tackle.
But
But
here's the thing about him, real quick. Do not go into next season and have him tank the season 8 games in because he can't play right tackle. If he still can't get his footwork together, say, listen, we love you. You're a top 5 pick. We know you're good. We see your ability. Kick him inside. Because the worst thing that can happen is next year you keep him out there and he wrecks games, right? Because next year you think you're going to go a little deeper. So the offense might be opened up a little bit more, which is going to be more susceptible to those fumbles, interceptions, and turnovers, right? Daniel Jones is leading in all those categories because those things weren't being asked of him to do. If he's going to be throwing it 30 or 40 times, because guess what? Now, with the money that they're going to pay him and the things that he's doing in this offense, he's going to have to be sometimes an upper echelon quarterback, which means he's going to have to throw 35 times and win us a football game. We can't have Evan Neal wrecking that with, bad footwork.
oh no, I definitely agree. I mean, you can't. If like I said, if the light bulb doesn't quite come on, you know what I mean. You got to figure out a way to fix things
Right. Don't
sooner
Eric
than later.
Flowers
You
him and
can't.
say, hey, we're going to leave him at right tackle because we drafted him 15th overall, right? You make sure, like, okay, shit, he's really messing up. Let's move him inside the guard and then move him out to tackle. Because that's what some of his scouting reports said, that, he's big, that you can move him into tackle, into guard if you want to. And a lot of his problems are balance related and footwork related. Well, that tells me get the guy in a lower of a stance where he doesn't have to do as much with his feet, and you can be a road grader that he is, because his run blocking is phenomenal once he gets his hands on you, right? So then you bring in a more athletic, because if you look at Charles Cross, he had a phenomenal season over in Seattle, right? But he's more of a finesse blocker type thing. So if you were to move Evan Neal inside and maybe bring a guy like a Cross in, or a Sean Slater type of guy, then maybe you'll have your O line for a decade or so. So I just don't want to waste him there at right tackle. And if he really is struggling and we're 8 games in and he's costing us turnovers and sacks and things like that,
I mean, I understand. I mean, coming in during the draft process a year ago, that was some of the knock on Evan Neal was about his footwork and his pass blocking issues. He got some issues in pass blocking. He kind of has a tendency to fall down a lot and things like that. But my thing is, I also like to also believe that the NFL is a different animal. Moving up to the NFL, the speed of the game, adjusting to the speed of the game. He's been playing left tackle over at Alabama for the last couple of years in college, and then switching to right tackle in the NFL. I like to think some of those things had a little bit to do with, because I believe in the talent of Evan Neal. He's absolutely the offensive lineman that I wanted out of the 3 big tackles last year: Cross, Neal, and the guy in Carolina. Yeah, Evan Neal's the guy that I absolutely wanted on this New York Giant team, and I just, I believe that he's overall been getting a little better. He still has his struggles, but he's definitely been showing signs of improvement as well. So I like to.
This game will be a true test.
Oh, this will be a big test for him for the whole offensive line, because this Eagles.
Well, just for him in
front
general.
7. This Eagles front 7 is no joke, as we know. But also Derpy Entertainment here, man. I appreciate your comment here. I don't know if the Eagles, I feel like this has been a pretty focused team. Yeah, been a pretty focused team.
I mean, their fan base maybe.
Yeah, I think their fans are more cocky than that. I
think they're walking on eggshells because they're expected to win. Right? They've beaten us twice, and like I was telling you earlier, Mac, when we had a phone call to kind of put some thoughts together. The Giants now are a hot team, right? They just beat a team that was 13-4, had a pretty bad defense, made a lot of quarterbacks look good. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Daniel's performance. I'm just being real with what the numbers say, right? So, with that being said, you kind of had a feeling the Giants were going to be in the Viking game, right? As long as they didn't turn the ball over, which they didn't. They played mistake-free football. They played almost a flawless game as you could possibly play in there. And I do believe that's partially because the defense of the Vikings is really bad. They're not that great. They have some good players, but not enough to kind of, not enough to. They were doing a lot of 4-man fronts, dropping guys into zone, and also playing man, and it was killing them because Daniel was running all over the place. The Eagles are a different animal. They're built for this. They're built to stop guys. I mean, every day they play Jalen Hurst in practice. If they don't have a spy on him in practice, then they're just dumb. So they're going to be a different animal, a different beast. So this is one of those games where it's like, let's see where we come from, where we go, right? We have to grow now. This is where it gets tighter. You have to be more flawless. You can't have any mistakes. Now, let's hope the Eagles are rusty, and I don't want to. The reason why I'm hesitating is I don't want to dip too much into the game because I feel like we haven't quite covered everything with the Vikings yet, and I don't want to give too many nuggets away for that preview.
Yeah, I agree once again with Derpy here, though. I mean, it is. Giants, like I said, we got to remember, put this in perspective. The Giants are part of right now, still very much in a rebuild. It's the fact that with the success they're having right now, this is an added bonus. But the Giants are very much still in a rebuild, and they do. They need to, like I said, I still think they do need to, figure a couple things out with the O line, but at the same time, and they do need to get a couple more weapons for Daniel Jones to help out in his offense. But the linebacker help, that's another big glaring need on this football team. We need to get back to the old school New York Giants style linebackers that we grew up loving. At least I grew up loving back in the day, because New York Giants were known for having some really rock solid lights out linebackers, and those days seem to be long in the past right now. Now, I mean, I'm the guys we have are okay, but we don't seem to have any of those special guys like we used to back in the day. So we do need to address that linebacker issue big time. But as far as, you want to get back and more into this game here, I mean, covering this game, Daniel Jones, like I said, he was the story of the day. Obviously, 24, 35, 300 yards, 301 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, a QBR 81.2, a quarterback rating of 114.1. Daniel Jones also 17 carries, which is not necessarily ideal, but 17 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown that came off the board due to a penalty. I mean, people forget about that touchdown as well, that he rushed the touchdown in and it got taken away because of a penalty. So Daniel Jones was just like you said earlier on our phone call. He was the best player on the field on Sunday, and that's saying a lot because he was sharing the field with guys like Saquon Barkley on his own teammate, and Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook on Minnesota, and just a couple other guys that are just way more well known and usually get way more props than he does. But he was absolutely the best player on the field on Sunday. Daniel Jones looked like the number 6 overall pick in the draft that he was. And nobody could deny that on Sunday, man. And they're not. People are giving Daniel Jones their props up so far these last couple of days. It's been a Daniel Jones love fest, man. I hope he's not, drinking that Kool-Aid and he's still staying focused, which I believe
I doubt he is. I just want to see this go into a game because, like I said, and like it's been mentioned, he always plays well against bad defenses, right? That's what you want your quarterback to do, to be good. But then it's like against the better defense, on Saturday we're going to find out. We're going to find out if he's the franchise guy or if he's the guy that we're going to keep around and try to win around. Not that I'm hating. I don't want to tell you. I thought Daniel Jones had a phenomenal game. I'm back on the DJ bandwagon, but to be realist, this is going to separate the men from the boys. Now, we can still win, and he doesn't have to have a great game, but to me, it's like you got to put your team on your back against the Vikings. Do it again, because that's what the mark of a great one. Eli Manning, when he hit his stride in 2007, because remember, he was still feeling his way out. He also went to the playoffs a little earlier in his career, but in his 4th year when they went to the Super Bowl on that epic run, every game there was a big-time Eli drive, a big-time carrying of him. And then in the Super Bowl when they got there, obviously that was different. Start right now. Don't be the one-hit wonder. Don't have a good game against a bad defense against the Vikings, come up short against the Eagles because they're running different stunts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's what Daniel Jones basically did say, Lou. He said, y'all better pull that bag out for me, man. Y'all better pay me now. I want my money.
He's going. Listen, again, you have to structure the deal in a way where it's cap friendly. Remember, he has had 2 good seasons, but there was a lot of question marks in those seasons. Fumbles the first year, inconsistencies, injuries. So you want to pay him, but you also want to be cognizant of injuries. Look what's happening around the league. Lamar Jackson, bad knee. Russell Wilson was in and out of games. A lot of these quarterbacks get banged up. Jalen Hurts, guy that we're playing, in and out of lineups because they're running quarterbacks. They put their body on the line. And Daniel is not running like a franchise guy. I don't care if you have to slide short of the first down. Save your ass. Because if somebody does what Micah Kendricks does, only this time there ain't a lineman to lie on. It's just the hard ground that he's grinding your neck into. It could put you on the concussion, and then we're having Tyrod Taylor, and there goes the season, and there goes your career. Look at Tua. Tua was injured. I mean, I can go down the list of guys who are runners who have been injured, so you have to safeguard for that.
What's going on? It's my guy, another one of my homies in the chat, man. What's going on, Buddha, man? All the homies coming through today, man.
I don't know, Max friends coming through, man. Nice meeting all of you. Hopefully, we're entertaining you. Man Mac has graciously given me a spot on his show, so I appreciate you guys coming out and checking us out.
Another thing we want to talk about real quick, man. This defense didn't overall necessarily. I wouldn't say they played really great. They played solid. They made the key stops when they absolutely had to down the stretch. But this is one thing they did do a tremendous job of, and that was the guy that was an MVP candidate, at least at the midway point of this season. Still, he was still considered an MVP candidate, and that's their superstar wide receiver, probably maybe the best wide receiver in the league. You can make a strong case for that. And Justin Jefferson, man, and yeah, he had 7 catches on the day. He still got his 7 catches, but they was only for 47 yards. And every time he caught that football, he basically got tackled immediately. No yak yards hardly in this game for Justin Jefferson. So Dory Jackson did a wonderful job. It was a welcome back for Dory Jackson coming back. Got off to a little bit of a sluggish start, but then he just turned it on, and he was Johnny on the spot, man. Had Justin Jefferson really well covered most of the day. And every time Justin Jefferson caught that football, he just didn't go very far with it, man. 7 catches for 47 yards. That is not a Justin Jefferson type of typical day. That's not what's been helping this Minnesota Vikings offense be successful. So if the New York Giants can find that same kind of success against the Eagles' top guy, A.J. Brown, we know that it's a little different though. Eagles are built a lot different because they got two top guys. So it's going to be a little different, but at the same time, if they can try to, figure out some kind of a game plan to kind of bottle up A.J. Brown in that similar type of way, it could also only help the New York Giants team out again on Saturday night. But we will find out about that.
I think you mentioned something that was interesting is how they bottle up Justin Jefferson. Because in the first plays of the game, when Minnesota gets the ball, the first drive, they drive down the field and score. And I looked at my wife, I'm like, oh man, it's going to be a long game, right? Because, it looked like they couldn't stop the nose.
They made it look easy.
Right. And then they came back and they had their blunders here and there, but it was more Minnesota kind of being dumb, right? But the Giants scored as well, which changed the game up. So Wink Martindale comes up with a plan. Let's double team them, and we're going to just, we're going to trust our cornerbacks and safeties against their second and third teamers, KJ Osborne and Adam Thielen, who looks like a shell of himself, right? Really, TJ Hawkinson was the guy who did the most damage. I thought, as a Viking fan, they would use Dalvin Cook more. They wanted to use Dalvin Cook in the screen game, but the Giants didn't blitz as much. So I would like to see what Wink Martindale is going to do going forward because, like you said, and I guess we can get into the Eagle game since we're already talking about it, or maybe you want to go to the Cowboys, but it'll be a different mindset come Philadelphia. That's all.
We can definitely
because they have more.
What's going on, Miz, man? Appreciate you stopping through, bro. Yeah, we get it done on Saturday. One away from the bowl, man. Interesting stat came up, too, that I seen earlier. An interesting, not a stat, but something I just happened to read earlier. I didn't even really pay attention thinking about this myself. But the last 3 times the New York Giants have won their first playoff game of any given season, they have gone to the Super Bowl. The last 3, so basically their last 3 Super Bowl appearances. Even though you know how one of those didn't end up so good, but still, at the end of the day, that I don't know. I mean, I go by little things like that because little things like that seem to seen it's like a trend, a little trendy thing, and you got to hang on to whatever you got. So I believe, like they said, the last like 2011 season, 2007 season, and back in the 2000 season, the New York Giants come out, win their wild card game, and go and get that opportunity and end up finding themselves a Super Bowl a few weeks later. So we'll see if that same trend continues this year. We got a tough hurdle to get over Saturday night, but before we get to that, we're gonna talk a little bit about what happened in Monday night.
Wait, we have the same amount of points as the Cowboys?
Absolutely, 31 points,
and almost a damn near same score. My God.
So yeah, Monday night we had a Monday night playoff game down in Tampa Bay, man, between the Dallas Cowboys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers got to host the game because they won their miserable NFC South division, and but the Cowboys went over there and absolutely handled that business and trashed them. I mean, the game started off about as sluggish as a game could start off. Both teams just traded punts for the first couple of possessions, and then the Cowboys just pretty much exploded and never really looked back. Tampa Bay had that one good drive in the early part of the game, and then they ended up squandering that opportunity with a really bad interception by Tom Brady, which was just way out of character for him. And it just stalled that, and it ended up stalling that drive, and they never had a chance after that. Like you said, the Cowboys just never, ever looked back at that point. It was just an absolute, how they say it back in the day, a drubbing. Absolute drubbing.
We're using old words to describe. But Mac, yeah, I agree. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, he just put the comment up. I just read this comment. Oh my God, Lou, like you said, he's a big Cowboy fan. And they said, like I said, their defense was absolutely on point, and that defense was a big part of everything that was going on. Now, I'm not discrediting the game that Dak Prescott and that offense had, but that defense was absolutely just smothering Tom Brady and that offense. Man, they never had a chance, and it's a good thing that their offense was putting up points, and the defense was stopping them, because that kicker, as my guy Philly B just reminded us, was absolute ass on Sunday on Monday night.
So. I wonder if that's Bill Parcells. He's looking for a new job. But you said it best. I think the Buccaneers their defense did hold up well, and if they could have gotten that first touchdown, the game might be a little different for them. But once that interception happened, and give credit to the Cowboys, because they got the ball back and they drove down the field and scored and basically put the game away at that point. They were like, if you're going to give us an opportunity, we're going to go down there, right? In Tampa Bay's defense had just played well. They just got the Cowboys off the field. Their offense moving the ball down the field into the red zone. Tom Brady with a rare, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he lost arm strength. I don't know if he was trying to do what he was doing, but it was a rare mistake for him, which is a costly one. And mistakes are not always, games are not always won and lost at the end of a game. Sometimes they're won and lost in the middle, right? And this is a game where they lost the hold of their game or their momentum after the interception. It was as if the wind came out of their sails and they got very deflated. We'll see what happens going forward with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Cowboy defense, you touched on it, Micah Parsons was wrecking havoc all over the place. Everybody was everywhere. They had sacks left and right. They really played championship level style of defense. They really did. And let's be honest, the game probably should have been a shutout, but it wasn't, because in garbage time Tampa Bay scores a couple points at the end of the game. But they really took it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which leads me to believe that they have a good shot against this 49er team, who we can get into in a little bit once we wrap this game up. But the 49ers and Cowboys is an intriguing matchup, and I had some thoughts on where I think this game could go. But the Cowboys did what they had to do. Tampa Bay did what they had to do and have been doing all season, and that's losing. And we'll see where Tom Brady goes.
And with that being said, this was a game here where, coming into this game, a lot of people were throwing a lot of shade at the Cowboys last week, man. Like, it's really believing that we were going to get some kind of Superman version of Tom Brady, and this Tampa Bay offense was all of a sudden going to get
Playoff
their
Tom.
life together, and and they were going to become a good team out of nowhere when they've been a very bad team all season long. And they just somebody thought that some light switch was going to go on and Tampa Bay was going to be good again. No, the Cowboys were by far the better team going into this game. They were road favorites for a reason, and they proved exactly that on Monday night. The reality is just that people don't want to accept some of their superheroes, man, when they're declining a little bit and they're just not quite the same. If I'm not mistaken, that interception Tom Brady threw was his first red zone interception since he's been a Buccaneer. So put that into perspective. So
it was his last red zone interception.
That's just insane to even think about. But at the same time, he's just not the same guy anymore. He's an older version of what he used to be, man. And I don't understand what he's hanging on for. I know no real competitor wants to go out the way he did on Monday night, but at the same time, brother, you have nothing more to prove, man. You 7 Super Bowl rings, multiple league MVPs. Your bust is literally just sitting there waiting for you in Canton, Ohio, waiting for you to retire so they can unveil that thing.
You probably won't even need 5 years to get in.
Just go. I mean, Tom Brady is as surefire of a first ballot Hall of Famer as we've ever seen in this league, at least in my lifetime, for sure.
He's a surefire Hall of Famer as death is to us all.
Exactly. So. I don't really get it. I honestly don't see what he's really thinking about continuing at his age.
They fired Byron Leftwich? I think they fired Byron.
Byron Leftwich got fired. I guess sometime yesterday. I saw it this morning.
So I mean that I wonder what that means, and we're going to get into a segment later on in this show about the playoffs in general and things that we saw. But I wonder what that means for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You fire Leftwich. Without even knowing who your quarterback is, Todd Bowles didn't do a great job. Defensively, they weren't bad, but offensively, it's like they were rudderless. I don't know if that means Tom Brady's coming back, and they're like, listen, I'll only come back if Byron Leftwich is here. I have no idea. I don't know if Bruce Arians was the guy, but something's going on down there. TB12 needs to either pack it in. He went to the playoffs. How else are you going to go out? You're not always going to be able to go out on your shield and retire at top. You know what I'm saying?
What's going on, J-Lay, man?
Hey,
appreciate you stopping through, bro. Look, but at the end of the day, it's a reality. Tom Brady and me, we are the same exact age. I am 1 month older than Tom Brady. That's it. Only 1 month. I know when I wake up in the morning, I don't wake up and feel like I want to go out and get tackled today. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. That's the truth. That's facts. That's absolute facts. So I just don't.
I just want to get up and get crushed today.
a guy with his accolades and everything he's built up, man. Just hang it up, bro. Go enjoy the rest of your life. You are a fucking superstar. You can go anywhere.
He's going to be in commercials
and do whatever you want. You are the golden boy.
He's probably going to get. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the TV. He's going to be that guy that gets the TV.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have all kinds of things thrown his way, man. You don't need to just keep sitting out there getting your body beat up on every week, man. It just is what it is, bro. Ultimately, it's up to you.
I don't know what he wants. Like, what is the point of staying on, right? At this point, let Kyle Trask be the quarterback, fail, because in 2024, there are a ton of guys coming out that you could get in the first and second rounds of next year's draft. And I'm telling you right now, you need to pick one. Even if you sign Daniel Jones, pick one in case you get injured, and you can have a guy come in here and your season doesn't go to the toilet because of, Kyler Murray's injured. Guys across the league have been injured. So you're going to need a quarterback. So if I were them, like Commanders, they're saying Sam Howell's a starter. Well, guess what? They're going to probably stink next year, okay? So do yourself a favor. Because, Brady is only going to come back now, I think, if he has a walk-in situation, like the Saints maybe. Or a team like that's like the Buccaneers are a quarterback away. So he's going to look for one of those teams across the league and say, where can I go to win a championship in the next year and a half, 2 years max, and I can call it a day. That's what he's going to do if he decides to come back.
I mean, I just feel like it's just time to hang it up. I mean, guy, he's had a great career, and he still has his health. What are you waiting to get injured? You waiting for something devastating like that happen to you, where you won't be able to live a normal life for the rest of your life? Dude, walk away with your good health and all your trophies and rings and everything else you already got.
He doesn't know what else to do with himself. I think he's been in the game so much that he'd be bored just being, a normal guy. These guys. He's been here since 2001. Okay, the guy's been. Time. Some kids have been born when he was in the NFL are now grown-ass kids, grown-ass men, and he's still in the NFL.
But that's what else is crazy. He's literally there's guys that were just born when he was a rookie. Exactly. At this point, you know what I mean? So he's literally at a point where he's older than some of his coaches. It just doesn't even and whatnot. It just doesn't seem like Byron Leftwich, for instance, the guy we were just talking about. Tom Brady is older than Byron Leftwich. So come on, Tom Brady, man. Yeah. Do us all a favor, man. Let it go, man. You're still the GOAT. You Tom Brady. Just let it go, bro. It's not like you're playing because you got something to prove, but whatever.
It's eighth ring. Come on.
Gee. What will I do if I don't get that 8th ring? No one ever.
I would never. I can't rest easy until I get the 8th ring, man. Come on, man.
Come on.
It's like correct.
I played in 10 Super Bowls. Playing one more.
I need 11.
Just to see what it feels like. You know exactly what it feels like.
11th Super Bowl. Right? I mean, my God. Oh, man. We laugh about it. But, hey, that should take us into – well, let's get into the matchups next week. I mean, there are some marquee matchups. We were talking about 20 years of history with Tom Brady, but the matchup we're about to talk about, Cowboys, 49ers, that's like old school matchup, mid-90s football right here. I don't know about you, but for me, that's how I was indoctrinated into the game. I didn't start liking a team. I liked the Giants because I was around them. But when I started getting to football, the first real thing was the 94 playoffs, where the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Browns and the San Diego Chargers and things like that. And I saw the 49ers. And I never forget this game. 1994, they're in Candlestick Park. Okay, Candlestick Park, the first time. Try to get the monkey off their back. The Cowboys, who had last year had their game in the NFC Championship game, in Dallas, Texas, they went on to go to the Super Bowl and win that year in 93. 94, it was the 49ers year, and they got the monkey off their back. The Cowboys had to go into Candlestick Park and defend their title, and they blew it. And this game reminds me of that. You got two good defenses with the San Francisco 49ers, and you got a defense in the Dallas Cowboys that if they play like they played last week, are going to give the 49ers fits regardless of who's quarterbacking or who's out there. It's going to happen. And it just feels like, to me, what build-up, what marquee, what mystique it is for that game on Sunday afternoon.
I agree with you, man. This is like that. I've been waiting for weeks now to see, will Brock Purdy at any point look like Mr. Irrelevant? Will he look like the last pick in the draft? So far, he has absolutely, at no point in time, looked like the guy that was the last pick of the NFL draft. You just see a more and more confidence with this kid each and every week. But this Cowboy defense is a kind of defense that could actually finally bring this kid down to reality a little bit. I can't remember all their opponents since he's taken over the starting job. I don't know the defenses he's going against necessarily, but I'd be far-fetched to not think he went against any defense better than this Cowboy defense that he's going to see on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't played a team above 500. Well, actually, he did. He played the Seattle Seahawks, so that's not necessarily correct
Yeah,
per
but they're
se.
also not known for being a very good
But they were in
defensive
a good
team
defense.
either.
No, this will be the first time you'll see him probably get tested in the 6 games that he started. I mean, he played against the Raiders. That wasn't great defense. I mean, they didn't play defense in that game either. But we'll see what happens. We will see what. This is why you get those big time defenses. This is what we're talking about. The Cowboys came out and they this is what I mean. I hate to be a Cowboy lover or fan or blow sunshine up their ass because they don't deserve it and their fan base certainly doesn't either. But when you watch the game and you put yourself in their shoes and you sit there, their defense is flirting with greatness. I mean, Tom Brady has weapons out there. They made them look. They basically shut them out for 3.5 quarters of that football.
Absolutely.
And now they're going to come up here and play a guy who hasn't seen as many defenses as Tom Brady has. Tom Brady has the Encyclopedia Britannica of defenses. Okay, he's seen from volume 1 to volume 1000. Okay, there's nothing you can really do and put in Tom Brady's face. This kid Brock Purdy has volume 1, the first chapter of this encyclopedia.
Just something else too in general, like you said, talking about he hadn't seen it. He also just hasn't seen a pass rusher like number 11. Michael Parsons is a grown ass man out there, and he is. You got to see it to believe it. The things this guy is capable of doing, and it could overwhelm Brock Purdy. With that being said, the San Francisco 49ers do have some weapons on this offense that really do help a quarterback like Brock Purdy along. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, he just keeps getting better and better and better each week with this San Francisco team. We already know how great he actually is, but the midseason trade took him a couple of weeks to get his feet wet with that team, and he's now just completely rolling.
Great trade.
And then you bring in Elijah Mitchell, who's getting back healthy again, into the mix, just so they can always know they can run the football. Deebo Samuel, Mr. Do every damn thing, is back and healthy in the lineup, and his impact is, you just can't speak enough of that. And then Kittle, George Kittle, since Brock Purdy's been back, George Kittle has risen back to elite tight end status again, because he kind of fell off that cliff earlier in the year where he just kind of wasn't really what he used to be. It looked like he wasn't that same guy anymore. And then now Brock Purdy,
quarterback.
You insert Brock Purdy in the lineup, and George Kittle looks like that top guy again. And he's been out there killing it. So you got other weapons like Brandon Ayuk, and just this 49er team is a very, very complete football team. Like I said, this should be a really good game because you're talking about two just lights out defenses and two very capable offenses as well. So
this is
going to be a fun one to watch Sunday.
I look at it like this. All right, we didn't talk about the Cowboys offense against this 49er defense, which could be the difference in the game, because a lot of the teams that they played couldn't overcome a lot of that defense, right? Because what 49ers have done in most of their wins has been one of the best second half teams and defenses in the entire NFL. Not just now, but in their games. They don't give up many points. So it's going to be fun to see what happens. If the Cowboys can jump out to an early lead, maybe that plays into their hands. Remember, if the 49ers get a lead, it's easier for them to save Brock Purdy, because you could just turn and give it to those two running backs and run downhill. If they are on the opposite end, will they be able to keep up with the Cowboys? And will that change everything? Because, Dak Prescott had his best game of the season, I feel, in the playoffs. Like, of all the games he's played all year, last week in Tampa Bay was by far his best performance. And if he can build off of that and kind of not put them, because remember, he's thrown this team in and out of a lot of games by his bad play. Now, something that was said during the broadcast, maybe you caught it, maybe you didn't, and they said that Dak Prescott was going through his reads a little too quick, and he kind of slowed it down. Well, maybe if he sees the film and he does it again, you're probably going to, if you see this Dak Prescott that you saw against Tampa Bay, Cowboys are going to have a legit shot at punching their ticket to the NFC Championship game.
And boy, oh boy, we know what that would mean. That would mean an all NFC East NFC Championship game, which for this show is a great thing. But what's going on, Bird, man? Thanks for stopping in too. I really appreciate you, bro. But this Cowboys team, this is gonna be a good one. I mean, you talking about I
last
love watching great defenses work, and these are two great defenses, both led by two absolutely amazing pass rushers. One on for the Cowboys, we talked about Micah Parsons already, and then on the 49er side of things, we can't forget about my guy Nick Bosa, who, by the way, in the offseason I predicted would be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and that might actually come to fruition. Yes, there is tape on that on one of the episodes of Premium Takes we did last offseason. Oh, yeah. I
Uh-oh.
said that. Nick Bosa, you got to find it somewhere. I got to find it myself because I'm going
Premium
to clip it.
takes,
Because
baby.
if he does, I will be clipping that and posting it because I like when I get predictions right. And Nick Bosa has been an absolute animal. Also, he's a game wrecker, just like Micah Parsons is a game wrecker. So we're talking about two of the absolute. Matter of fact, we're talking about probably the two best pass rushers in the NFL in this game, doing battle in this game, obviously on opposite teams. But this is going to be, like I said, this is not going to be for the weak at heart right here.
Well,
This is going to be a hard hitting affair. I look for a lot of chippiness. I look for it all in this one. You're going to get a little bit of everything in this game here on Sunday
old school.
evening, man.
Well, in both games, but definitely in this one too. I want to say something about their coaches, D'Amico Ryans, Dan Quinn. You got to give these guys the credit that is due because they come up with game plans every week. They put their guys out there, and they've done a phenomenal job on that side. And it's going to be a great chess match to see what they do against both the offenses. Remember, the 49ers defense, to me, has a little bit more of a disadvantage going against the offense against the Cowboys because the Cowboys are, I feel, with Dak Prescott, able to do a little bit more. With Brock Purdy, his experience is limited, so we will have to wait and see on that. But with that being said, it's a toss-up game for me. I don't even know who's going to win. I don't even know. One minute I feel like, the 49ers, I was picking the 49ers. I said, man, this team is going to the Super Bowl. Then I see the Cowboys play on Sunday, and I'm like, man, if they play, they're not the Jekyll and Hyde team that they were all year, right? The ups and downs, the ups and downs, and ups and downs, and they can keep that up going. They could easily be in the Super Bowl.
It's funny you said that, what you just said, because I had pretty almost a similar, almost an exact same thought. I was watching before the game Monday night. I was saying, I said Monday night game, 49ers and Giants, Buccaneers and Cowboys. They just playing to see who gets to go out to San Fran and get sacrificed.
Right.
I can't say that anymore after watching that Cowboy performance on Monday night. You're right. I can't say that. The Cowboys, they look very much legit, and they can be that Cowboy team. They can beat anybody, to be quite frank, including the 49ers. Because let's face it, the 49ers, and this, like you said, this could have something to do with maybe playing familiar opponents, but they didn't exactly come out gangbusters against the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday. No. It took a little while for them to get their feet, get everything going, and then finally, after a couple of Seattle mistakes, they got things rolling and ended up eventually blowing Seattle out. But they got off to a pretty slow start, and they do that against this Cowboy team, they could be in a little bit more trouble because this Cowboy team is definitely a step up in class from the Seattle Seahawks that they played on Saturday.
Yes, I think that's where the game will be won is who will turn the ball over less and who comes out and scores the most in the first half. Because, like you said, if they have a sluggish start, that could be curtains for the San Francisco 49ers. Even if they do keep the game close in the second half, when you put Brock Purdy back to throw, will he be able to? I mean, yes, he had a lot of yardage last game, but again, that's against a weaker defense in Seattle. And Seattle's they're not a bad defense, but pass rush wise, it allows guys to get open, and they didn't really touch Purdy that much. This time, Purdy's going to get hit. Will there be a sack fumble? Will there be a mistake? Will he come down from this high that he's riding and the chariot turn into a pumpkin on Sunday? We don't know. And that's what gives me pause about this game because I was going with the 49ers after watching them like, man. And I'll probably pick the 49ers just for shits and giggles to win this game. But it's really hard because after watching the Cowboys just whack the heck out of Tampa Bay, if they come and play like that, I'm like, man, can Brock Purdy hold up against, this team? Will he turn back to Mr. Irrelevant?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm actually probably leaning more on the Cowboys side of things here. I think Brock Purdy.
That's
I
it.
just feel like it's gonna happen sooner or later, and it might just happen this week against a great defense, against this great Cowboy defense, where the guy goes out there and finally just has that bad day. I mean, look, and there's not gonna say much about Brock Purdy because what he's done has been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal, but even Patrick Mahomes has a bad day, so it's just eventually gonna happen. And I'm thinking it could happen this Sunday, man, against the Cowboys. But we'll
If they
see,
play
man.
flawless. Remember, if they turn the ball over with Dak Prescott, it's not going to be easy for them to overcome. But if they play like they played against the Buccaneers, I give them as good a shot as anybody to beat the 49ers.
I think what you could even see from the 49ers, honestly, is just to maybe even help Brock Purdy out a little bit more, is to really, really just run that ball, try to run that ball down the Cowboys' throat. I mean, and hit them with everything. It's the playoffs. You can't no reason to hold anything back. Hit them with McCaffrey. Hit them with Elijah Mitchell. Hit them with the Debo Samuel runs. Get them with those Ayuk jet sweeps. Hit them from every angle with that running game. Keep the clock moving. Keep the chains moving. And that, I think, would probably serve as a better game plan going into this game against this Cowboys. Because if you let Brock Purdy just keep dropping back and be a sitting duck back there against this Dallas Cowboy pass rush, that's not a recipe, I feel like, for success in this football game. As good as the 49ers have been, I mean, they're on, like, I don't even, how many games have they won in a row? It's been like
6.
12. No,
Well, yeah,
more
more than that. But with Brock Purdy, it's about six weeks.
well, yeah. So this 49er team is really, really good, but I think they also have to be smart about their approach in this football game. But right now, I'm going to lean a little bit towards the Cowboys right now. That performance Monday night was impressive, and I just think Brock Purdy is due for a stinker. I know. I keep saying it every week. It still hasn't happened. One of these weeks is going to actually happen.
Eventually, I'll get it right.
Eventually, I will get it right. I'll nail it eventually. But we'll see, man. Either way, as football fans, we should all be excited for this matchup, man, on Sunday, because it's going to be a good one for sure. And with that being said, I guess we've been touching on it a little bit, man. You might as well just go ahead and dive on in there, man.
Dive in. Eagles, Giants.
Let's
Gonna
go.
be a good one. If you're a Giant fan, sit back, relax, because I'm about to take you on a ride. Okay? We are going down the turnpike. Grab your stuff, people. Grab your stuff. You're going to stop at my house for a bite to eat. Grab your stuff. We're going down to Philly, Century City, Broad Street. And, hey, Philadelphia, do me a favor. Wear those black uniforms you so love to wear on primetime games. You know why? Because you're going to a funeral. The funeral is your funeral. Okay, I'm bringing some roses. I'm bringing my black tie because guess what? I'm going to the funeral and it's bird hunting season, and I'm taking you out. The endangered species list is over for this weekend. I called up the endangered species people in Washington. I said, listen, give me one weekend. I need to take out some bald eagles. Okay, I need to go down to Philadelphia and take out some birds. Do you mind? They said, go ahead, New York Giants. Go and take out them birds. Why? Because we want to end up where Mac just said, with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC Championship game, pushing our way to the Super Bowl. You just heard that stat. Giants don't lose in the playoffs when they win their first game. Well, guess what, Philadelphia? We are about to come in and kick your teeth in.
Absolutely, man. And like, if this was the regular season, you'd be hearing my same song and dance too. Like, Eagles, man, we always do bad against the Eagles. They always seem to have our number. They always get us. I can't do that now. We're in the postseason now. So, Look, I'm going to acknowledge the great season the Philadelphia Eagles had.
Yep.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they're not a very good football team. I'm not going to pretend that they're not a much better team than the Minnesota Vikings, because they are. I mean, they blew Minnesota out when they played them early in the season, and even though their records were about like only one game difference, Philadelphia is a significantly better football team than Minnesota. So I'm not going to take them for granted like that. But this is a division rival. We're going into a stadium that we have no fear of going into. We ain't got no fear of going into the Linc. We was just there a couple weeks ago. We ready to go back there again with the varsity team this time. And we're gonna and I expect the New York Giants to handle some business up there. Third time, the Eagles they've been blowing us out all season. Not blowing us out, but the first game they absolutely blew the doors off of us, threw up 48 on us. But that was a broke down, beat up New York Giant team. Now we're a lot healthier. We got some of those key guys back that weren't available for that game. Leonard Williams didn't play in either of the matchups against the Eagles this season. Dory Jackson didn't play in either of the matchups against the Eagles this season. Xavier McKinney didn't play in either of the matchups against the Eagles this season. Those are difference-making players that will be on the field on Saturday night that weren't available for either of the games on this past regular season. And like my guy Lewis that just said, this is a new season, man. Philly B, third time is a charm, man. It's not easy to beat a team 3 times in a season. Now, I've seen some numbers that do sway a little more in the favor of the times it's happened. I can't remember the numbers I've seen, but it teams do pull it off. A 3-game sweep of a team in the regular season and the postseason. But at the same time,
it's 50-50, I think.
It's not. It was like 60-something%. I saw what I saw. 60% out of the times it's happened is 60% of the time the team has successfully pulled it off.
You're saying there's a chance.
But at the same time, like I said, I keep reiterating to Eagle fans that I've been speaking to, letting them know, man, I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all the New York Giants are better than the Philadelphia Eagles, because then I'd be lying to my audience and I'd be lying to myself. But what I'm going to tell you is that this ain't the same New York Giant team that the Eagles have seen in either matchup that they played in the regular season. This is a new New York Giant team. This is different. This is like you said earlier about Daniel Jones, about this offense, the dinking and dunking. We can't go back to that. We can't see that no more, because we've seen this guy now stretching the field, hitting receivers down the field. This offense is wide open now. I don't know what took so long for it to happen, but it's wide open now, and we can't go backwards. And this is not something the Eagles have seen from the New York Giants. Like I said, in that Minnesota game on Sunday, we saw them doing things, a Statue of Liberty and all kinds of just crazy cool things, man. Like things you ain't never seen from the New York Giants offense.
In a playoff game, nonetheless. Not like something.
Yeah.
Giants did a trick play and it worked. Daniel Jones did behind the back to Berea or Barkley for the touchdown, whatever it was. It was pretty fun play, and that's telling you right there, Giants are humming, right? They're humming. Now again, the defense they're going to play is a lot more ferocious than this. It has had its way with us. Even in both games, they had a lot of pressure on Davis Webb. But what I think the Giants are going to try to do, and is I agree with you, Mac. You cannot go backwards now. But what you don't want to be is a drop back team and go 3 and out every time too. So they're going to have some balance in the game. But I think the Eagles are going to definitely commit one guy to Daniel the entire way. They're like, well, if Daniel beats us throwing the football, fine. But he's not going to beat us with his legs. And if the Giants can't run the ball with Daniel Jones effectively with his legs, they're going to lose the football game, because that's when he's the most effective right now. His running sets up his pass. Most people pass to set up the run. It's vice versa with Daniel Jones. If he gets going with his legs, it seems like he gets more confidence in his game, as opposed to when he just drops back and passes. Not that he doesn't have confidence. Things happen. He has some error throws. Guys have a chance to bat his balls up in the air. But when he runs, if you watch the offensive line, now Eagle fans, tune this out because I don't want you to hear any secrets I'm about to give up. But the Giants do a lot of play action running, which allows their linemen to fire out as if it's a run play, which then if you're passing the ball gives you an advantage as an offensive player because you're attacking the defense, as opposed to when you're a pass blocker, you're not necessarily attacking the defense. You're more of kind of just, trying to get in the defender's way. So if they can't run the football effectively in this game, it's going to hinder their offense in general.
Totally agree. Also, in this game, I don't look to see too many Daniel Jones called run plays. You know what I mean? In a huddle run play. I don't expect to see too much of that, because I believe the Eagles' defense will be ready for Daniel Jones running the football. and as far as like RPOs and things of that such. I think Daniel Jones, I think his running yards he's going to have to get in this game is going to be on mostly on scrambles and things when plays break down because that's when Daniel Jones can actually be sneaky dangerous, and he's been showing a lot of that lately as well. Whereas where a play breaks down, he catches you in that man-to-man coverage, and he knows he's got the wheels, and he's running with confidence. He does need to protect himself a lot more, but he's running with that confidence, and I believe you're going to get more of that because I believe they're going to have some kind of maybe a little bit of a spy going with Daniel Jones or something to just kind of limit his running. But I think if he catches him with some good scrambles, that's where he's going to really get his money, get his yards in the run game this week against the Eagle defense. It's a very aggressive defense.
If I were the Eagles, I would make sure I have a spy on him and put a count in the kid's head, whoever the linebacker is or safety, whoever you deem the spy is. The Cowboys are the matchup I don't want to see if we advance because they have done it well. They took that number 6, and we'd be going to Big D if that happens, by the way, people, just to FYI. But they did it with that number 6 guy. He was very good. It eliminated them in week 3. That would be the game. If I'm the Eagles, that's the game plan I would run because once they put a spy on him towards the late part of the third quarter into the early fourth, the Giants' offense was stifled. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't move the football. And I think advantage Eagles if they do that. I would tell that defensive coordinator who has had some up and down games that don't be the Vikings. Don't sit there and not blitz and let Daniel Jones do everything. You need to get up there quickly. Make sure you get home when you blitz. If you don't blitz, make sure you have somebody to watch on those scramble runs. Remember, on defense, you're at the advantage because the offense only has 5 to 6 guys they can throw out on any given play. The defense, everybody is eligible on the play. Meaning you can drop defenders back. You can play a 3-man front and have a linebacker where you could do so many more things if you have the personnel. Eagles have the personnel to do it. They got their safety back, right? They have Blankenship, who got ran over by Davis Webb, as a person they can throw in there down in the box. I don't know if they want him to defend Daniel Jones, but they have a few other linebackers. Like if I don't know how good Nakobe Dean is, but on third downs, I'm putting in that kid. And I said, listen, wherever number 8 goes, that's where you are. That's it. Just follow him sideline to sideline, because if the Eagles let Jones do, and I think this game is going to be more like the Colts game where they're going to try to run him a little bit more. They're going to try to be methodical down the field, less track meet of a game. If they let Daniel Jones beat them with the run, it's over. Good night, the lights for Philadelphia. I don't think they'll be able to stop them. If they come in with their game plan and they get a lead, they're going to pin their ears back, and that's when Evan Neal is going to be the weak link of the thing. So really the Giants need to establish the run, and if you're going to use Daniel Jones, make sure it's effective running because I think he's the key right now to the unlocking the offense. Because defensively, they're going to have their hands full. I don't know if Lane Johnson's coming back. Rumor is he is. You got to get pressure on Jalen Hurts. You got to hit this guy. Knock him out of the game. I know this sounds brutal, but when you hit him, make sure he's going to the sidelines like, yo, man, maybe we should max for text on that next play. You know what I mean? Make him think about that shoulder. Make him think about getting up every time. Jahan Ward, I'm looking at you, homie. You said to give the quarterbacks a little extra business. Well, you need to give that to Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I agree. Like you said, you got to leave it all on the field, man. This is the divisional round of the postseason. This is your division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team that has just been tormenting you for years and years and years. How good would it be to be able to go in there and knock them out the playoffs after the season that they have had right on their home field? And like you said, I couldn't agree more. Hopefully they wearing them damn black jerseys because they always feel like they be feeling themselves when they put them black jerseys on. And I would love to be able to go into the Linc and knock them guys out with those uniforms on in particular. You know what I mean? You're damn right, Jeff. I got that DJ shirt on. He earned it today, baby. He earned it this week. He more than earned it this week, man. Go out there and show DJ that love, bro. I had to, man.
I'm waiting for mine to go on clearance before I go pick that one out.
But Daniel, I mean, so I think they need to really do it. I think that is the Giants' best best thing they need to establish that run game, like you said. They have to absolutely get Barkley going, get whoever else, Breida, maybe try and get him going a little bit, and really establish that run game, like you said, because the Eagles, that's their one weakness a little bit, if you want to call it weakness, because they've gotten better at that as well. If you want to call it a weakness, that is their one weakness, is that's you can kind of attack them on the ground. They have been susceptible to that, to being getting teams running the ball on them. So we're going to have to really establish that, because at the end of the day, whether Hurts is 100% or whether he's 80%, he's still Jalen Hurts, and he's still phenomenal, and he's still very much an MVP candidate. And the things he's done with this offense all season and the weapons they have, it's your best defense against this offense is to keep their ass off the field. And the best way to do that is to run the ball and keep them chains moving and grind it out, man. And I just look for DJ. Dan Jones has to make smart decisions with the football. And this defense is very aggressive. Definitely, this is not the game we want to see the turnover situation come back and maybe start plaguing them. Hopefully that doesn't become a problem with this pass rush, because they definitely get after it, man. It's, like I said, a different animal than Minnesota, way different animal than Minnesota. So,
well, and the interesting part is something they said, something that resonated with me, that I'm wondering how they're preparing in their building, because Nick Sirianni said in round 2 of this fight that the Giants came out with a totally different game plan against them defensively, and it totally threw them off. Now, the Giants again came up with a different game plan against Minnesota, which again I think threw Minnesota off, because Minnesota saw the numbers 52% blitzing the last time they played. They probably were ready to be set up with more screens. We'll really see what Nick Sirianni is as a coach and the adjustments that they make if they can pivot very well, because Minnesota didn't do it very well. They went in with their game plan. It was taken away from them. They didn't rely on the run, which, by the way, they were getting good yardage running the football on the Giants. They just abandoned it. If the Eagles, give it to Boston Scott and Miles Sanders, and these guys start to pound the rock and they get into field goal range and score touchdowns, it could be ugly early. We have to do what we did against them the second meeting, keep it as close as possible, as long as possible, because this team, remember, they've been in a lot of dogfights, but they also have some blowouts on their belt, and they can easily turn it on. And what I don't want to see happen is the Giants come out, they get like 5 plays, and then they punt, right? They get first down, then they get like a couple of 3 and out, and they punt, and then the Eagles go down and score. The Giants come back out, and then they just send the dogs, right? And they just say, listen, we're going to come at you, because if the Giants get down early, it's going to be hard. That place is going to be rocking. You need to make sure you get them. You thought Minnesota was loud or somewhat loud. Eagle fans they're going to be full throated at 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night on Saturday night. They ain't got nothing to do the next day. They ain't got nothing to do but be degenerates the next day. So they're going to come out full throat. I know there's a lot of tickets still available, and I think that's a lot of people are still waiting. Playoff tickets, they're going to come down. Eventually you'll see them open, but it should be a fun atmosphere. This is the first time I think the Giants played in the Linc in prime time, or in Philadelphia in prime time, at least in my era of football.
Oh no, they played in prime time before up there, not in the postseason, but I definitely was.
I mean the postseason is what I mean.
Okay, I was gonna say I've been up there for a primetime game before.
No, I know that. Yes, I'm saying like normally the Giants don't ever play at 8 o'clock in the playoffs, and they haven't been in the playoffs the last few years. But they normally never get the night game, so it's just funny to me to see they're on prime time on a Saturday night, going down to Philadelphia in an environment that is, can be crazy. I mean, you were there a few weeks ago.
It gets crazy. It gets crazy, and it's going to definitely be even crazier this week. I want to say what's up to my guys in the chat, man. NYG Jeffy T85.
Guys.
Alex from Big Blue in the Bronx, man. I appreciate you guys stepping in, man. This also, like you said, we do have the Giants, like I was mentioning about the Eagles having that one big weakness on their defense. Well, the Giants, it's been a big weakness on the Giants' defense is teams running the football very, very well on the New York Giants. And this Eagles team will not be as quick to abandon it like the Minnesota Vikings were on Sunday. You see, you're right there. If they start getting any form of success, they're going to keep shoving it right down our throat. And they're going to throw all their backs at us. They're going to throw Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, and hell, their quarterback Jalen Hurts. They're going to hit us with all of that if we can't figure out a way to clamp down this defense and stop this run. So we're going to need Herculean efforts from Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams in the middle of that defense right there. And I think these guys are up for the task, man. I really believe they're up for the task, man. And here's your guy Tom right here, Adam, man. He's right, man. Boston Scott, the Giant killer. I do not want to see Boston Scott score another touchdown against the Giants. Can we figure out a way to stop this little guy? He played every game against the Giants. He'd be the best running back in the league. He absolutely would be. Unfortunately, he does not. So, but yeah, I'm tired of this Boston Scott. Got to figure it out. You got to figure a way out to stop this guy, stop this Eagles running attack. Because as scary as their passing offense is, I'm more worried about their running right now because how bad the Giants are defending the run. Honestly, I feel a lot more confidence with our secondary covering those receivers than I do about standing up to their run game.
The Eagles are at their best when they run the football because it sets up everything that they do, right? When Jalen Hurts because just like the Giants, the Eagles like to work in short down and distances because it allows them to do the quarterback sneaks and the quarterback runs, right? The reason why Daniel gets the scrambles is because on the deeper dropbacks they play man, no one's looking, he can get the scrambles. But when you do the 3rd and 5s, the 3rd and 3s, that allows play action to happen, right? And even though the Eagles don't do much under center, they do a lot of RPOs. And so if they start to establish a run and not have to be back there in shotgun passing all the time, it's going to allow their receivers to get open. Remember, Dallas Goedert didn't play the last game really, and I think he'll be a factor in this game. Remember, they have Devontae Smith and their third receiver. I forget who their third receiver is. He's also playing pretty well.
Quez Watkins.
Right. So they have 3 guys that can do a lot. I think you're going to see – I think if you want to ask me, I think Smith's going to have a better game than Brown, and that's okay because, that's the guy you want to have. Like Bill Belichick says, make it a Mario Manningham and Ballard, make them go to other people so you're not getting crushed by this guy. So – and we'll see. I think they're also going to run a lot of screens. They're going to see if the Giants run. It really will. When you play the Giants defensively, you really have to play a chess match, right? You have to have almost 2 game plans going in. And what I mean by that is if you stick to your one game plan and it doesn't work, you're kind of screwed, right? Because you don't have anything to go back. If you understand, hey, if they do this, if they do A, we're going to do B. If they do B, we're going to do A, and kind of mix it up. So what I think is going to happen is the Eagles are going to try to, really establish the run game and really set up the passing game. Because if they get up early, that's where they're at advantage defensively.
What's up, man? Shout out to my guy Eric Seabrook, man. I look, bro. The season has turned out way better than I anticipated, man. And now I'm all in. I'm all the way in, bro. I want to see another Super Bowl. I want to see another trophy up in MetLife Stadium. I've been up in the facility, so I'm all in. Let's go. And if we win this game, I feel like nothing's stopping us, man. I don't care who it is. Nothing's stopping us.
I kind of agree with you there. If they beat this Eagle team, well, the only thing that I would fear would be the AFC side, and I think they can compete with some teams in the AFC, but there are 3 big dogs in the AFC that we worry about. We're gonna kick that can down the road right now because we're not there yet. We have to beat this Eagle team. We can't overlook them. We can't just say anything. But hey, I have more of a confidence going into this game, even though I know the Eagles. I praise them. They were the best team. I still think they're the best team in the NFC conference. But this is a different Giant team that they're meeting. One that has more swagger to him. One that Daniel Jones looks like he hit puberty. He looks like he's grown into a man now. Didn't look like he was a boy before, or a teenager trying to find his way, and he finally hit that stride. He bought his own apartment. He's living on a flat. He's a grown-ass man now. So let's see if he can keep that up. Again, in his career against good defenses, he struggles. And so let's hope that trend does not continue. Let's hope also that the bad primetime game things was also taken off. And, hey, Kayvon, you like primetime Kayvon? How about you get me one this week? How about you get me a sack fumble? How many got make big
Kayvon has played. He's played well in prime time this season.
He had no turnovers.
Hasn't been much. Hasn't been much prime time for the Giants, but Kayvon's played well in his spots, man. When he's had opportunity.
Turnovers. In order to beat this team, touchdowns and turnovers. Those are the two things we need the most. We need to score touchdowns when we're in the red zone, and we need to get turnovers. You know, Jalen Hurst may be a little shaky. He's going to be a little quicker to get down on the ground, you know, and not get crushed like he was before. He's going to be a little quicker with the ball if guys are coming at him, right? They're going to try to establish the run to alleviate some of that pressure on him. So he's not just dropped back in there like a sitting duck like they were against the Eagles a few weeks ago. So Giants, you know, if they play their game, they should be fine. If they don't play their game and they turn the ball over and they look lost and they look hurried and they're not relaxed, I don't think they won't be. But, you know, they haven't had success against the Eagle team in any game, in any matchup. And it's in their heads. Right now, I think it's in these players' heads, and they've got to beat this team. Like you said, you beat this team, there's no saying what. I mean, the Cowboys, I believe, will be the best matchup against the Giants, like the one I would not want to see the most, because they play the Giants the best in terms of their personnel. The 49ers, I would just be worried about their gap pressure, because they do come up the middle well. Their D tackles do play pretty well, and Bosa's a pretty badass guy. I would not want to see him on Neal. So either opponent is going to be tough, but if they beat this opponent, it might be destiny on our side.
It might be. I'm not really ready to go all the way there yet. At the same time, this New York Giant team is just playing. It picked a great time to start playing their best football. I'll just say that. Playing absolutely their best football these last few weeks, barring that last week of the season against the Eagles, because the starters did not play. But if you go back to the Minnesota matchup on Christmas Eve, the Indianapolis, where we did come up short, but played still a really good football game. And then that Indianapolis Colts team where we just blew the doors off of a very bad Colts team, but we blew the doors off of them and beat them exactly the way we were supposed to beat them. And then, like I said, still, even with our backups out there, just played admirably against the Eagles up at the Linc in Week 18. And then to go out there to a hostile environment in Minnesota Wildcard weekend and get it done on out there, man. This is a different New York Giant team. So like I said earlier, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we're suddenly better than the Philadelphia Eagles. But at the same time, I feel about as confident as I have in a matchup against the Eagles as I have in a long time. I mean, I think we can actually go up there to the Linc on Saturday night and get the job done. And I expect no less than that from the New York Giants on Saturday night, to go up there and get the job done.
Let's answer Tom's question there. Do we think sitting players? Tom, my man, good to see you as always. Tom writes, do you think sitting the starters helps the Giants' confidence because they feel like they didn't lose 2 games, they lost 1 and gave 1 away? I think I talked about this with Mac earlier. I think sitting the starters, it does nothing really. I think they know that they're 0-1 playing them, because I think the Eagles had to play their starters and they didn't blow us out. So I think what gives the Giants confidence is, hey, they didn't blow out our backups, right? They didn't kick our ass in the game the way we thought they were. Now we have a real legit shot against our starters. Let's see what happens there. Now I know for a fact that people are going to not hate this, but I think the Eagles did have a vanilla playbook. Once they knew the Giants weren't playing much, they weren't going to give too much away. They knew they had a better team. You could see a little bit of the frustration with them. They wanted to blow this team out with Davis Webb and everything like that, but they know that they need to get the win as well. But I do believe right now, sitting the starters, I would have liked to have seen them play, because even if it was a half, because I would have liked to have seen what the Eagles would have done, knowing that Daniel Jones and their crew is starting. So, but listen, the Eagles have every right to feel proud. I mean, the Giants are 1-5, 1-4-1, 1-5-1, or something like that. 1-4-1 in the division. So, and the one win that came against the lowly Commanders. So, you know, I mean, the Eagles, if I'm them, I would be more worried about, hey, why didn't we blow the doors off of this Giant team? Also, will we have rust? Will we be able to pick up their blitz packages? Because this is the third time Wink is playing this team, right? There's not much Wink can hide anymore that you can do. I mean, there's probably a million things you can do, but you're going to be very similar in the way you do things. The Eagles have had 2 weeks, 17 games to kind of fester over this last loss, or last win against the Giants. They need to come out. They need to have the bigger game. The Giants are going to come out and just do what they need to do. I think playing the starters didn't really help or hurt. I know that they lost the first time. That's in the back of the Giants' minds. That's why I said to the Giants they need to get up early in the offense, because remember, in MetLife Stadium the doors are blown off the team. We cannot have that happen this week.
Well, I mean, resting the starters. I mean, in a sense, it didn't really have any much of an effect on the Giants. Because you've seen the effort you got out in Minnesota on Sunday. So these
Well,
guys came out. Were still clearly right. You said, what did you say, Adam?
I think he's meaning like not resting for the playoffs, but resting in the matchups against the Eagles. He's saying,
Well, I mean,
does he think
yeah,
the
I know.
Cowboys?
Okay, I got you. I know what he was saying. I think I was just I get what he was saying. I was just saying that because in sometimes situations like that, you want to keep the momentum rolling. Like the Giants came off that big win in Indiana against the Colts, and you would like to keep the momentum rolling into the playoffs. But at the same time, you do got to protect your guys, you know. And at the end of the day, as we saw for the Chargers, for instance, what happened when they in a game where they had nothing to gain or lose. You know, they went out there with their guys and they lost a big player, a big time player in Mike Williams, who may have been able to help prevent that comeback from happening against Jacksonville. I mean, if he was out there offensively, another weapon for Justin Herbert, who knows how that game could have turned out. It could have maybe been a little bit different. But so sometimes it's like a chess match, like you said. You gotta do what you feel like is right for your team. And I think the Giants had enough injuries, enough guys banged up that he thought that he made a decision that he thought was best for his New York Giant team, Coach Dable. And I definitely respect that. You know what I mean? And like I said, it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything to shake their confidence. Like I said, Daniel Jones came out and played maybe the best damn game of his career on Sunday against Minnesota. So I feel like now in hindsight, 2020, it was a good decision. It worked out, and I think we're still ready. We're gonna be ready to go up here and get time to get this team go up to the Linc on Sunday, man. What's going on, Lou? Thanks for stopping in, bro.
That should lead us into of the other playoff games. We've talked about everything in these two games, exhausted them at nausea. You know our picks. We're picking the Giants, obviously, against the Eagles. But some other games went down in the playoffs. Some of the things we'd like to touch on. One happened in the game that Mac was talking about. A guy that was an ex-Giant played in that game, and I think Mac had some words that he would like to share about this player, and we can go from there exploring the rest of the playoffs and our thoughts going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I want to take this time, man. I'm gonna give a shout out to my guy Evan Ingram, going out there in Jacksonville, getting his first playoff burn as well, because he's, as you know, spent his whole career previous to this season with the New York Giants, and we obviously weren't making no playoff team. We're not a playoff team while he was here. So he goes to Jacksonville. Now he gets his first little playoff action, and he's become a real go-to guy for Trevor Lawrence down there, man. Like. And I was talking to Adam about this earlier, man. Some guys just aren't cut out for the bright lights of New York City. Some guys can't handle those microphones being shoved in your face constantly, daily, this New York media that will absolutely harass you. I mean, he went down there, he's a little closer to where he grew up and home. He grew up in Georgia. So he's a little closer to home, you know, closer to his family, his friends, people, and maybe it just gave him a little more confidence because he cleaned his drops up a little bit down there in Jacksonville, and he started off a little sluggish in the early part of the season down there, but he's really come on and become a go-to guy for Trevor Lawrence and those guys down there, man. So just wanted to give a little quick shout out to Evan Ingram. Congratulations to him. His team is still also playing on. They got a tough one over in Kansas City this weekend, man, on Saturday afternoon. But you know, I just wanted to acknowledge a guy that dealt with some big time ups and downs while he was his time here in New York, man. It just wasn't meant to be here in New York, but it's good to see him get his career back on track And he only signed a 1-year deal with Jacksonville, but they would be absolutely crazy letting him walk out the door. So
Well,
expect to see him. What'd you say?
The performance he had on Sunday, it should bring him back. I mean, he basically was one of the stars of the game. He really elevated his game like I've never seen him do before. Now, I know Miz said, Ingram would have been good under Dable here, guys. Yeah, he would have. But like Max said, sometimes injuries, pressure of being a number one pick, underperforming, under-delivering, not delivering in big spots, sometimes that gets to you. Having bad coaching gets to you. You know what I mean? So, like we said, we can't be held and strapped onto a player and hope. Like Daniel Jones lucked out, right? Because if he stuck this year and the record was reversed going into the playoffs, and they were 6-9 and 1, he'd be out of here, right? No matter what, because it'd be time to go. But we're winning and things happen. So that sometimes molds your narrative. And for Evan Ingram, we don't have many positive things to say about him. He never led in touchdowns. He wasn't that crazy, but he goes down to a place where Doug Peterson knows how to use him, puts confidence in him, and basically they took a flyer on a guy, and look what they've done. Now, the Giants want to emulate a player like him. Lawrence Cager would be the closest person to that type of player that they get. I think they're going to kind of look for that guy in the draft, a second tight end, because I think this offense needs a second tight end. But look at let's touch on that game for a bit. Since we're not, we're moving a little away from the NFC East, we're going to give you a little bit more, fun stuff here while we wrap up the regular season and postseason of the Real Deal NFC East roundup. The Chargers, they had a chance. A lot of people are blaming Herbert. They had a chance to win the game. He goes down and puts his team in a position to win. The kicker misses a crucial field goal at the end of at the midpoint of the fourth quarter, and that's the ball game, because if they make that field goal, it doesn't matter what the Jaguars do at that time, right? And let's be honest, they just fired their offensive coordinator. Their coach did not do a good job defensively of shutting that team. You had 5 turnovers and lost the game. That's the first team in NFL history to ever do that. The first team in NFL history to ever have a +5 in the turnover, category and lose a game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was practically throwing the game away, literally and figuratively. He was throwing the game away. First half, he has 4 interceptions and a touchdown. Second half, he has 3 passing touchdowns and I think a rushing TD or something like that. Hell, 2 halves. Meanwhile, over on the Chargers side, they can't stop a nosebleed. Herbert puts them in a position to win the game, and their kicker chokes.
Oh, my God. I mean, when I was watching this game, I was working. I didn't get to actually see all of this game. I was kind of having to watch it in bits and pieces while I was working. What's good, man? What's going on Unpopular Opinion Sports? What's going on, Coach Ed? Appreciate you, brother, stopping in, man. But I was watching this game. It was like the first half. I'm sitting there talking to one of my coworkers, like, man, I said San Diego, Los Angeles. I said Chargers are absolutely trashing these dudes, man. I said Trevor Lawrence is out here just throwing the ball right back and just keeps throwing the ball back to the to the Chargers defense. Like, I mean, did he have all 4 of those picks in the first half?
Yes,
I believe he did. All 4 of those picks in the first half. Like, and he fumbled.
Like 3 of them in the first quarter, I think.
And I believe he fumbled once too.
Yes, they had 5 turnovers in the game. And the Chargers still lost, which is damn near impossible to do. It's in the
You have to try really hard.
These days, if you have 5 turnovers, even the worst teams can win football games.
I mean, we're talking about this game was 27-7 at the half. And that 7 points came late in the second quarter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it was no excuse in this one, man. This is definitely, you got to dial this one up to coaching. Brandon Staley.
And here's another thing. Mental capacity. This is the difference between winning football games. Joey Bosa, right? Is that right? Or Nick Bosa? What Bosa
Joey Bosa is the one on the Chargers.
Thank you, God, I got that right. I always get it wrong. But Joey Bosa can't hold his friggin' water. Slam your helmet on the sideline. You're not going to get a penalty there. Take your helmet off on the field and slam it in the field of play. 15-yard penalty. Again, that's another difference in the game, because now instead of playing for the field goal and the tie, you're now going for the win, because that's what you're doing. So now they're going for the
Yeah.
win.
That's a good point you brought up there. That was very disappointing to see a veteran player like Joey Bosa, who's also one of the leaders of this team, was one of their star players on defense, and to make them have those kind of mental errors down the stretch that really, really hurt his team badly. I mean, he was on the verge of being ejected from this game.
Right.
So he was close to getting ejected. You can't have that from your team
I know
leaders,
they're
from your
holding.
top guys, man.
I know they're holding you, Joey, but you got to hold your water. In order to be a Hall of Fame player, you cannot do that. You cannot have that meltdown in that moment because even though people don't think it's 1 yard, 2 yards, they should have stopped them anyways. That's a difference in mindset. You're going, okay, I'm going to kick the field goal, kick it down here, and play kind of for overtime and see where the chips fall. No, they have that 15-yard penalty. You're going to take it on the try. Now you get the ball at the 1 yard line or the half-yard line or something like that. You don't need to do much. You get the 2-point conversion. Now you're up 28-27. And the ball game is now in your favor, and now you put the pressure on them. So it was a big-time thing that happens to teams that are mentally weak. And I will blame this on the coach because he doesn't praise his guys. There was a guy injured for the Chargers, and I texted my friend. I said, do the players like the coach for the Chargers? He goes, no. He goes, I don't know why. I go, because he didn't even go out and check on his player to see if he was injured and how injured he was. He was too busy worried about calling the next play. And I'm like, looking at this guy like, right there is where you lost the team. You know what I'm saying? It's because your guys on the field, and at least he might have done it, but at least when I was watching, it looked like he was like walking up the sideline, kind of preparing for the next play instead of going out and saying, is my player okay? Which the other guy did in the Bengals game, Zach Taylor, when his guy went down, he was out there looking to see if his player was okay. So you see where the mindset of the Chargers is. Right now they have a lame duck coach because they fired the OC and they fired the QB coach. So we're going to find out, what's happening now because usually when you fire an offensive coordinator, you're next to go.
Oh, and real quick, Jeff, man, he didn't get ejected though. He because the two that he got, one of them, the first one he got was the first part of a possible ejection because he was something he did to the referee, whatever he said to the referee. That one could have led to an ejection. The second one when he got was the one he slammed the helmet down. That didn't count as like one of those.
That wasn't
one of those
a personal.
Yeah, that's not one of the ones that leads to an ejection. That was just a stupid ass penalty from a star player
on the
that
team in a
shouldn't be
crucial
making
moment
those
of the
kind of
game.
that shouldn't be making those kind of errors in that situation. But at the same time, pointing to see, like I said, a player like him of his caliber costing his team like that.
Herbert ain't overrated, okay? This is what happens when people get, love their team. You got to look at the player as a whole. Herbert had a good game. 273 yards, and a touchdown is a winning effort. If Daniel had any of that in the first game, he had 300 yards. So, everyone's going to say it doesn't matter. But my point is, Herbert's a good player. And I'm not taking that away from him because the defense choked on the side of the football. I just told you he brought the team down to have a game-winning field goal. The kicker lost. So, I know that people want to think with their heart, but look at it objectively. You want to be a guy that sees the game for what it is. Don't miss out on a Hall of Fame player because you're stubborn and just want to love your team. Because when you look at it, you had Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert in the game. Justin Herbert's one of the upper echelon quarterbacks in the league, and some of the stuff that he was doing in the first half of that game was straight sensational. Go back and listen to the broadcast. Even the announcer was like, this guy is playing a sensational game, right? So that's what I'm talking about, is don't just put your biases in front of a player because you're a Giant fan and you love Daniel Jones or you love what this guy is doing.
Well, maybe where he's coming from a little bit is the fact that, like I said, in this game here, we're talking about a game that in the first half was 27-7 Chargers. The second half, it was 24-3 Jaguars.
Well, it would have been 24-6, and they would have won the game. I told you that second field goal that guy missed. Remember, they went down the field on a short field. This was not like a major field goal. It wasn't like a far field goal. They went down the field into the plus territory of the other opponent and whiffed. He is top 5 quarterback. I'm just saying, he is top 5. I mean, you want to look at where his numbers lie, he's a top 5 quarterback. Just because his team cost him the game, I'm not taking that away from him. you're taking it away from him because of your bias. Think about it. Look at the kid broke the rookie record of passing. He had 4,800 yards, 5,000 yards, threw for over 4,000 yards this season. Had a good game in this game. Absolutely good game in this game. You know, he missed a couple throws here, but every quarterback does. We blame Daniel for missing throws. Yeah, he misses throws. He had a crucial one that he missed for Keenan Allen in the end zone. If you want to blame him for that, that's what I'll get him on. And the one bad play he had was that miss to Keenan Allen in the back of the end zone.
I think, like I said, overall, it goes like, 'cause I don't want to get into some big Justin Herbert thing right now here, but at the end of the day, I think it goes back ultimately to their head coach once again. When you make the decision to put players on the field, to put your guys on the field out there in a game that wasn't necessary that last against the what was it, the Raiders? I mean, who they played? They played the who they played last week of the season? The Broncos, man. The Broncos, yeah. Against those Broncos that last week of the season, that game meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing. It didn't
That's
mean
2 years in a row back. 2 years in a row for this guy.
It did not matter, and you put these guys out there, and like I said, one of Trevor Williams, Trevor Lawrence, one of Justin Herbert's top weapons, if not his top weapon this season at least, Mike Williams was taken out. You know what I mean? Got injured and was not able to play, and it's very important wild card matchup on Saturday, and that could have also. I mean, that's another thing that could have helped hurt the cause for Justin Herbert, because I do believe Justin Herbert he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I do believe that as well. He's just something about this guy when you know, and you just watch him play, and it's pretty phenomenal most of the time. I mean, just couldn't get it done. Like I said, he didn't get a lot of help from his defense on Saturday night either. Man, that was a terrible effort second half of that game. And but one more. What else we had? Who else played?
You can be mad, like you said, unpopular opinion. You can be mad all you want. It doesn't take away the fact that talent is there. Jones has had a solid season passing this year. Not a great season, not the season you want, right? And you're going to say, well, it doesn't matter. It's only in the playoffs. I get it. The guy in the last 2 years couldn't go to the playoffs against the Raiders last year because his coach decided not to go for it instead of just taking the tie and getting into the playoffs. This year, he decides to play Mike Williams, and that guy gets injured. And now you alleviate a guy. And again, my eyeball test on Sunday showed a guy dialing it up all over the place. Missed one bad throw the entire game. But okay, you don't want to give him credit because he's a top 5 quarterback. Listen, man, I have a place in my heart for Justin Herbert. I love that kid coming out. I was hoping he was going to come out the year Jones was coming out, and he actually wanted to play with his brother. Whether he didn't want to play in New York, fine, but you also get to play with your brother 1 year at college football. That's kind of unique to me too. I mean, if he didn't have a brother, maybe he comes out. I don't know, but he wanted to play with his brother 1 year, and whether or not that's the reason, I don't know, but it makes sense to me why he wanted to do it. But we can move on.
Well, look, let's real quick. I'm just one more last thing about this real quick, because like this comment here. And you know what? This could be somewhat true. I mean, the Chargers wasted a really good career in Phillip Rivers, and maybe they are. Maybe they're just a stupid franchise that's going to potentially waste a good career from Justin Herbert. At the end of the day, Herbert is a good quarterback. He is legit. I don't want to take any credit away from that young man because he be out there balling. So, you want to talk about what other games you want to talk about from this weekend, man? Anything in particular, anyone in particular, or just?
I want to just touch kind of on kind of all of them, the close ones. I mean, the 49er game was interesting. We touched on that, but they kind of blew out the Seattle Seahawks. But the game that intrigued me the most was the Cincinnati game, Baltimore. Like, it really turned to one play. I mean, Cincinnati didn't really blow the doors off of Baltimore, right? It didn't look like they were blowing the doors off, but it was interesting to see. I've never seen a 98-yard touchdown return like that in the game. As a matter of fact, I wonder why more people don't do what that guy did on the Bengals and kind of punch the ball out, and do that. Because a lot of quarterbacks do. They try to put the ball over, and if you're naive, you go low and you miss it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And the Bills game was interesting too because I thought they were going to blow the doors off of Miami, and they didn't. So.
But you know what's interesting about those two matchups is it comes back to what we were all talking about earlier. Familiar opponents, man. These were divisional opponents, man, matched up against each other. And even though it seemed like they should have both been blowouts in a sense, considering especially the Bills and the Dolphins. Up in Buffalo, third-string quarterback from Miami coming to town. And I mean, it's cold as shit out there, by the way, that at game time on Sunday afternoon. It was like in the 20s, if I'm not mistaken. You would have just thought there's no way Miami even has a chance to even compete with this Buffalo team. And it started out looking like that was going to be the case. But this Dolphins team clamped down. Josh Allen kept making mistakes, multiple mistakes. I mean, he's piling them on in this game. And it kept the Miami Dolphins in this football game. And that whoever that quarterback is, I can't even remember his name. But, I mean, he kept the team in there. I mean, he was still getting the ball to their weapons, utilizing them. I mean, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, they were still finding a way to figure out how to get the ball to him, and they actually almost went up there and pulled off what would have been a monumental upset, in my opinion, because just given the situation.
If they have Tua, they probably win. Not gonna lie.
Oh, absolutely.
If they have Tua, they probably win. And the Buffalo Bills can't play that reckless. I love Josh Allen.
They might have won with Teddy Bridgewater.
To
be honest.
Right. I love watching quarterbacks. I love them. I grew up watching them. One of my top 5 quarterbacks with Justin Herbert, NYG22. You need to go study the film and study the tape because this guy is better than you're making him out to. You're giving him credit for. But Josh Allen throws you into games and he throws you out. A lot of the Buffalo games this year, he's had a lot of turnovers. He's been like Dak Prescott almost. There's been some big turnovers in games, and some poor decision in the Viking game, and Miami had their number before. So I could see where this is. But the thing about Josh Allen is he's so good that then he'll bring you back in the game, right? So he throws you out of it. Their team climbs back in, and then he'll just say, all right, guys, don't worry about it. I got it. I'll go throw a touchdown pass and make it all right. But they can't do that this next couple of weeks. Right, I know they're playing the Bengals.
They're playing the Bengals on
they
Sunday.
Can't do that on the Bengals on Sunday. They cannot do that. They will go home because the Bengals will capitalize. They have a team that can score, and the Bengals are a dark horse again to get back to the Super Bowl. I think, they got off the schneid. They beat a pesky Ravens team that if they had their quarterback, probably win that football game. But hey, that's why they play the football games.
That can also be said. Once I agree with you again. Also, yeah, like that's another thing. Like where in this game, Cincinnati played really sluggish football in this football game, and I wasn't impressed with much of what they did, man. But like you said, in hindsight, like if Lamar Jackson was out there, I don't even know if this game would have been close, to be honest. If Lamar Jackson was out there, the way Cincinnati played, so I think they benefited from that. They need to regroup and come out there ready to play much better football up in Buffalo. We're going to finally get that game that we didn't get to see, even though this time it's in Buffalo and it's a playoff game.
Right.
But we still get this matchup. And it's almost like it's interesting that we actually still get this matchup anyway. The only difference is the venue. And obviously what's on the line. The stakes were on the line. Obviously, this is one and done postseason,
Right.
So,
it's actually probably compelling. It's probably compelling that this happened. It's probably karma, and this is probably the NFL God saying, you know what, you didn't get to play that. It's almost like like in WWE where you have this great wrestling match, and they're like, you know what, we're going to save it for the pay-per-view. We're going to bring it back, and we're going to do it this time. It's going to be in the steel cage, and the title is going to be on the line, and the build-up is great. You have what happened in that game, and the emotion that went in this game, and both teams felt it. How they're going to come out and play, it's almost fitting. Again, like I've said to NYG22, storylines make the NFL playoffs. They love storylines. And this is a great storyline to have these two teams in a game that was not even played, right? We don't know what the outcome would have been. We have no idea who would have won the game because the game was stopped after the first quarter. So now we get to see it again. I think this is one of those ones. Get your NFL films ready. Get your NFL films tape out there because it's gonna be a barn burner.
But look, because I know you're gonna have a comment in a few minutes, Adam. But I haven't heard anything of any kind of an official announcement. But I'm almost gonna expect DeMar Hamlin to be present at this game on Sunday. I mean, he's been spending. They said he's been at the Bills facility basically every single day, and I feel like this is if it almost would be like fitting for him to at the very least. He may not be sitting on the sideline. He may be up in one of those fancy sky boxes or something.
come out and salute the team or something.
Well, yeah, something like that. Like let him lead the team out, onto the field, something to that effect. Nothing official has been said, but I would almost bet that that's going down on Sunday, man. So
Oh, I agree with you, but if they play the same way they played against Miami, regardless of if he comes out, that emotion goes nowhere because they're going to capitalize. Like the Bengals are not the Miami Dolphins. If you keep them in there,
oh
Joe
no.
Burrow will find a way, unlike
Well,
Skylar Thompson.
yeah, I
Skylar
was gonna say that's a big thing. Joe Burrow and Skylar Thompson.
right,
That's a
right.
way different animal.
So that's what I mean. I again, like I said, the story, the mystique, everything that's going into it is going to be phenomenal to watch. It's going to be one of those must-view sitting down. I'm interested to see what Jacksonville's going to do against Kansas City because Kansas City's been on a bye. This Jacksonville team is kind of have a good night. Is kind of feisty. They're not really the greatest defense that they've played, but they make plays. And Trevor Lawrence had a great second half, a terrible first half. If he does that against Kansas City, you best believe they're not going to fall. Mahomes will, you give him 5 extra possessions, you're going to lose by 100. You know what I mean? So
The more I think about this game for Buffalo, man, they really do got to come out ready to go, man, because they're going to have a lot of the same similar issues defensively as far as how to defend this Cincinnati Bengals team. Once again, this is the second week in a row they're playing a team that's coming in with two guys that are number one wide receivers, realistically. And T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And I mean Tyler Boyd. I don't know. I would probably still call Tyler Boyd more of a two.
You're right. You're right. Number 2. He's right. Sorry.
But at the same time, yeah, with that too, like 2 number ones and a number 2 at wide receiver as your top 3 guys, like that's a lot to have to try to defend. And then Joe Mixon obviously can tote the rock, and then obviously they're going to have significantly better quarterback play than the Miami Dolphins did on Sunday. So they could present some serious problems for this Buffalo team. I mean, remember that Monday night matchup that didn't get to take place, ended up not taking place. Buffalo went. I mean. The Chiefs, damn. The Bengals went right downfield on the Buffalo on that first possession of that game and scored a touchdown right down the field. That score was 7-3 when it had to get stopped. So we'll see what happens, man. This is going we got some good matchups for this divisional round weekend, man. We got some good football to watch, man. I mean, because I think the Chiefs and Jaguars could be a good game. Jaguars have been playing really good football going down the stretch, man. And I think on paper that looks like probably the matchup that the least amount of people would want to see. But at the same time, I think that could be a really good game as well. And obviously, we know Eagles-Giants. Who doesn't want to watch Eagles-Giants, man, for a third time in any given season? Everybody wants to see that. We're all about that. And then, like I said, that Cowboys-Niners matchup, that could be an instant classic. That's a potential instant classic. That's an old school 90s playoff rivalry right there. They used to go, anybody that was around back then, which I'm sure most of us were, the Cowboys and Niners had epic playoff battles in the 90s, man. And
that was how I got into the football.
This brings it back, man. Full circle right here, man.
When Steve Young went to the Super Bowl against the San Diego Chargers, who did he beat to get there? The Dallas Cowboys. Where did he beat the Dallas Cowboys? In Candlestick Park. Okay? The biggest matchup of the 49ers year. Remember, they got rid of Montana the year before. So this is now Steve Young's team, right? And they finally met the Cowboys on their home field because the last time the 49ers went there, they met them, in Dallas. So here we are. Same thing, like you said, pull up. The good thing is, if you're a Giant fan and you're an old school fan, you love the NFC East, you don't got anything to worry about. Your game's going to be over. Whatever the result is the result. You can come back and actually sit back and relax and enjoy a real game from the 90s throwback because they're going to be hitting in that game. Both teams are physical. You're going to hear that. You're going to hear those helmets collide. There's going to be a lot of popping in that game, and should be fun. Should be a fun weekend of football that I am glad as a Giant fan we get to be a part of.
Absolutely, man. I'm actually kind of glad we get to play Saturday night so then I can just sit back and enjoy those other 2 games on Sunday, and just flat out enjoy a couple of good football games on Sunday afternoon, man.
Some good eats.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm going to be looking forward to that, man. So you got anything else before we get ready to wrap up and get up out of here, Adam? Man, it's been a great show,
Nah,
man. Appreciate it.
outside of the fact that Justin Herbert's a good player / probably a great quarterback, enjoy the football game. Giant fans, rise up. Because if we beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia and put another crack in that Liberty Bell, we're probably going to go and try to get another Lombardi against probably the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bengals, or the Buffalo Bills. One of those three teams I feel is going to be in it. Hell, you never know. Maybe the Jaguars get there, But, hey, enjoy the football game. We're going to be with you. We're riding you all the way to the Super Bowl, folks. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Real Deal NFC East Roundup will take you as far as the teams will go. And hopefully an NFC East team named the Giants is in the Super Bowl so we can talk about that.
Absolutely, man. It's a good chance. We still got three in the running, man. So somebody from this division, I believe, is going to the Super Bowl. Ooh. Which one is it going to be? We're going to find out. Hopefully, it's this squad right here, the NY. The NY, baby. Because I'm all in and I'm feeling it, baby. We in the divisional round. We knocked these birds off. And I'm telling you, ain't nothing going to stop us. That's all I got to say about that, man. With that being said, I'm Mac the Giants fan. That's my guy, Adam Costas. This has been another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. And we will be back next week for Championship Week. You best believe that. Thanks to everybody in the chat for coming through, showing love. And we out, y'all. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.